I'm so thrilled to share this night of poetry and community with you. And I'd like to begin by sharing a piece from a project called Love on Demand Global. And it actually started around the time that I was at Self-Help Graphics and Art. I was giving workshops there. And essentially, it's a booth with 3 or 5 typewriters and a group of writers, and we set up at different festivals. People tell us their stories, tell us a little bit about themselves. They order poems from us, and we write poetry on the spot. This is one of the pieces that came from that. 2 women came up to the booth. One was pushing the other in a wheelchair. The one in the wheelchair had a broken ankle, so she had a cast around her ankle. They were both, this is what they told us, they were both from London. They met at a superhero party. They were both wearing their underwear on the outside of their pants. They lived by the ocean, and they were in love, and they loved to invent words. Oceanography. Not mathematically, but in reverse. You are like the specific ocean kissing me awake. Pants on the outside of trousers, superheroes Hieronymus instead of anonymous. Broken people rolling instead of sitting, the cast over my broken angle. You're like transatlantic saltwater, and I'm the frenzied fish, insomniac shark, too much carbon dioxide in the blood. You are 2 parts oxygen through this gash, a woman's gill, a woman's breath by motion. Our lives together now, beginning in the middle and spreading both ways like a palindrome, like handheld pyrotechnics, acrobatics, hydronautics, like the odd coupling of compound words, like prefixes mitched and maxed, like an accidental countdown, secret spandex, lift off. With you, it is like the figure 8, like drawing a geometric shape in the air, like rubber stamps and their feet stomping 3-legged races. You are like a field of windsocks. You are earmuffs and mittens and rubber flippers on land. Kissing you is like the word snorkel. You are the surprise of sound, traveling faster underwater than through the air. You are phenomenology, like the occurrence and the word thrice, like oceanography, emotionography, landmark discoveries in the field, oceanography, ocean, oh. You are like a blindfold, then hands on your shoulders and a spin, heightened senses like waiting for your voice to echo. We might be the flightless bird, the crawling fish, the sapphic swan, nature's compound words, the incongruity, the miracle of misfits. This next piece began as an exploration of the natural congruence of science and faith And it took me to read about sundials and the scientific instruments that we had in the past that connected us to the movement of the Earth and the movement of our solar system. And it led to this. It has one word that I didn't know, but I learned, and it's in here. It's gnomon. And in a sundial, it's the part that's sticking up, and it's the part that casts the shadow. That's the part that tells time. Solar time. The sundial, the dial plate, the hours marked off. Our love like a horizontal sundial, and God like the gilt brass gnomon, casting the shadow, telling time. Solar noon like the muezzin call to prayer, the equation of our prayers angled north 51 degrees, north 34, London, Los Angeles. When the sun crosses the meridian of Greenwich, come the daily prayer. At sunset, I touch my own knees, the spine of the earth, a steady pull of grace. Dark, and your city a magnetic north. Lunar noon now, lunar noon. When memory like the body begins its ellipse, and your absence like the spinning steady tilt, offsetting the length of night. Memory like the dome of an observatory, collecting the apparent movement of your shadow like the sun. 15 degrees westward in 1 hour, hands cupped beneath me like a celestial pull. The elliptic orbit of your mouth, the successive noons of our desire. Absence approximates itself like the day, a mean adjusted accordingly. The 4 days that watches tell solar time exactly right, and God always, like a pendulum, forgiving the error in calculations. Solar time giving me 20 more seconds of you in December, and in the sobering month of September taking them away. We add an extra second to clock time. We stick a single stick in the hard ground. Watch for the lengthening. Let it reach. What is there to measure? Love. Accounting for the discrepancy of time spent and time remembered. Moving faster when we near, slower at the aphelion. Your mouth like the dark origin of all our existence, and love between us, like the God-given shadow giving our bodies substance. The touch of your form without touch. Your mouth on me like the single indicator of the universe collapsing. Pandemonium. Pandemonium, pandemonium. I like thinking of, I'm very small, and I like standing to very tall people. And I like thinking that we're part of the same species, that we haven't evolved past each other. And I like thinking about our time on this earth as far back as we can, in alignment with the evolution of how our earth came to be. So I like to read up on things like seamounts, like mountain ranges at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, and how those mountain ranges sometimes rose up out of the sea. And I also tend to write a lot about people who are far. I actually left home for boarding school at 14, and I'm very used to loving people who are far and feeling them present. So that's a common thing that I tend to write about. And the world seems to me just as vast, even through its interconnectedness. The sun in open ocean. There is a seamount in the Pacific Ocean with the name of a bird. We are here. We can exist in this part of the Earth's memory, where the limestone in the folded seafloor lifts itself out of the sea. We are here, where you photograph for me the mountains from your window in Jordan, and we imagine walking among the whale bones in the black, silty shale of their peaks. You take a photo of the Balkans for me when you fly over them. You let me know when it is flamingo season in your city, when they migrate over the buildings. I tell you when it is lime season here, when the house smells of guavas. I look for you in maps of the ocean floor, remembering your skin when you were here. It was darker. I liked it, knowing each day you were not with me. Each day the sun in open ocean touched it. Once, after you stepped out of the sea, you covered your body in talcum powder to dry it. That was the day you slammed your hand on the rocks. Your hands that touch me like a gale, like an onrush, the same way you play right over the mute keys on my piano, as if the broken parts only a tiny grain in the scatter of your seabird sound. We don't talk about the war at the border of your home. We don't talk about why you know how to load a gun. We talk about large, solitary birds. And you tell me about the days when the sunlight enters the water and you can see as far as you can see. Azurite. I stab myself with toothpicks, but they never come out clean. You take my breastbone to break a wish on. It's a dream sequence, a splendid fairy wren back from extinction. The zoological galleries we ran through, a chronosaurus, the azurite and malachite of a wingless beetle pinned right through its back. The mineralogical galleries where I didn't kiss you when you said lazurite, sapphirite, tanzanite. I wanted to. You tickle me or wrestle me or box me, all three. You want your heart macerating its pulp into my pulp. You help it with your hands and then your feet. And sea salt in my hand you hunt and peck for, teeth like the beak of a bird hidden beneath the suckle, sandpaper tongue like a bat. You kiss me. Always you kiss me in the dream sequence. It's because once you really did. You touched your mouth to my hand and poured your mouth over mine like a dream sequence. Nothing but your own dream letting itself be seen through skin and rib cage, and your heart only beat 30 beats per minute instead of 60, like a regular man. You make love like a pinball machine. The focus, the rolling of silver, the lopsided bunt. Love, it is not the thumbed jab of the lever that keeps the mercury rolling, nor the spasm kick of knee that retrieves those lost balls. Still, I ring my encouragement. Ring, 'cause it doesn't even matter that I'm always kinda off to the side, a slanted amusement device you roll down with a bump. Even when all your springs are exhausted, I whir and blink at the score I pretend not to keep, the it'll do buzz, the little point pong, the spiral spring of laughter, and whoop at the occasional 1,000-point ping. This next piece is about the Eurotunnel, and it's a railway that connects England to mainland Europe, and it is not an underwater train. It is built below the seabed of the English Channel. And when I was reading about it, I learned that engineers envisioned this idea centuries before the technology was there. And I love that. I love thinking so far ahead before we even know how to do it. And I think that's the kind of thinking that we need with the kind of global issues that we have to face. I think that's the kind of drive that connects us. How in just under 2 hours, my lover's body is transported via the Eurotunnel. We are like mining engineers following the advent of steam. We perforate the ground like machines boring into both sides of the English Channel. We are urgent to rebuild as we build for the first time. We measure distance by days, length by time, nearness by love. We give our bodies up, full of faith, to unbelievable advents, a phone line, a blinking light, my voice muffled. You learn to distinguish silence from white sound, the intermediary of machine. We dream of mechanisms to cleave the days. We think on 13,000 years earlier, when your island was still mainland, connected by a very natural isthmus we cannot see. We think on the centuries-old dream, a fixed link between our bodies, connection like recognition, and we begin firstly again, unearthing, each word given like a rock removed. Your voice, like an underwater railway, we imagined, designed, believe in, and built. 26 miles under the sea, your body shovels from Dover to France, suited, spectacled, focused like the shark that you aren't in a gray sea of commuters. On your return, you think of me. Your thoughts outstretch like a very natural isthmus we cannot see. Now we have between us everything, and God like a satellite. Our prayers calibrated to Z-8 GMT, 6,000 miles away, and they reach me, an ocean and a continent away. This weight in the epicenter of my bed is not you, only me, Girl whose body has never been to Paris and back on a day trip like the men beside you. How London-centric the world's time zones are, fitting that everything should begin and derive from where you live. Ancient point of reference, once preeminent naval power of the world. When I wake, my thoughts will have queried through a continent, blipped through an ocean, tunneled 40 meters below the seabed of the English Channel. I catch up, gain or lose 8 hours, always lose count when I come into your body, foreign familiar. I glide and stab into like a corner of a vessel or a boat or an underwater railway, blinking its way into mainland. One day, your body will be in the same place as mine. My mind will glitch to understand. Glitch like a high-speed connection daunted. Technical bridge missing a technicality. Not even the screech of collision will occur. No scramble, no parade. Only the clasp and halt of a chain, 6,000 cubits long, the subtle thrust of our weight forward, a halt, a homecoming, island to mainland, bridged, again with you. Thank you so much.